kepala Mogules.
The bones help. The bones remember. The strongest glamours are made of such things. A dead man's boots, a hank of hair, a bag of finger bones. With whispered words and a prayer, a man's shadow can be drawn forth from such and draped about another like a cloak. The wearer's essence does not change, only his seeming. We have concerns that the little girl might be Melisandre. She was a lone little girl in Winterfell whose brothers are fighting in the war. She is brave and wants to go to war as well. She wanders up to Davos and asks him where she's supposed to go. Melisandre has the ability to glamour faces. We saw her glamour Mance Rayder to look like Rattleshirt in A Dance with Dragons. How many people, especially little girls, have we seen with scarred faces? There's been only one, and it was Shireen. Shireen was King Stannis' daughter, and Melisandre sacrificed her to the flames back in Season 5. She burned the young princess at the stake. When Davos found out about Shireen's murder in Season 6, he was so angry that he was going to kill Melisandre. Jon spared her life for saving his and told her to ride south and never return to the north. Melisandre told Varys in Season 7 that she was going to Volantis, but she would return, for she must die in this strange country. We have not seen her since. We aren't exactly sure what Melisandre needed to go to Volantis for, but perhaps it was to regain some strength. She seemed very depleted after Stannis' death and when she brought Jon back. Her fire seemed to be burning low, as she once said of Stannis. We even saw her shed her glamour and change into the old woman she is naturally. It would make sense for her to travel to Volantis, to the great temple of R'hllor, to the temple of the Lord of Light. The main congregation of servants of R'hllor is at a huge temple in Volantis, 3 times the size of the Sept of Baelor in King's Landing. This is the place where slaves are bought and trained to become priests or priestesses or acolytes, bed slaves in service to R'hllor, and soldiers of the Fiery Hand, the army of the Red God. Melisandre was sold to the temple as a young child. Only once she learned the art of shadow binding does she call herself Melisandre of Asshai. I think that Red R'hllor has more worshippers in this city than all the other gods together. The Lord of Light is the main religion you will find in Volantis. Outside the temple there are crowds gathered at all hours, and Benero, the high priest, preaches to the temple plaza about R'hllor and the impending darkness to come. It would make sense for Melisandre to need to return to this place to rebuild her strength, replenish her stores of potions, herbs, and spells, and come up with a game plan for how she will help. She knows she is going to die in the war to come, but how is another question. Melisandre and Davos are the 2 characters that share with us the legend of Azor Ahai and Nissa Nissa, and the Long Night from the Legends of Asshai. This must be significant because the legend comes from the east. It's not the Westerosi legend of the last hero. Melisandre believed Stannis was Azor Ahai come again, but her belief in that waned as time went on. Eventually they travel to the Wall, and though Mel's magic is stronger than ever at the Wall, she has more and more trouble finding Stannis as the promised hero in her flames. I pray for a glimpse of Azor Ahai, and R'hllor shows me only snow. We have seen in the show that after Stannis' defeat and Jon's resurrection, that she now believes Jon to be Azor Ahai reborn. She took that information to Daenerys Targaryen once she landed on Dragonstone, and told her that she must align herself with Jon Snow. Daenerys' council has sought the help of the Red Temple for spreading her word, and R'hllor has named Dany as their champion. Her dragons are fire made flesh. Their priests and priestesses were busy at work spreading the word of the good queen. When Melisandre returns to Volantis, she will encounter this information. She believes R'hllor has shown her only snow, and she believes Jon will be the great champion. Melisandre is one of the only red priests in Westeros, other than Thoros, who is not working hard at spreading the word. This is interesting because throughout Essos they find Dany to be a savior, especially in the slave cities, but Melisandre has been closest to the action in the War of the Dead, and she knows Jon is the champion from the flames themselves. How will Melisandre share this information? Or will she? Mel has always struck me as an independent agent. She's been operating under her own devices and strengths for some years. She's been practicing magic for years beyond count. Perhaps she won't even bother sharing the information with the other priests in Volantis in fear that they might not approve of her side mission. There is a political alliance with the servants of the Red Temple, and I'm sure their endorsement isn't free. Melisandre may just keep her mission to herself, replenish her strength and stock, and head back to Westeros for the Great War. Her magic is rooted in fire and blood, the same as the Targaryens. Fire is her weapon, magic is her tool. Melisandre has a major mission. She is alive for a reason. She has lived for years beyond count for a reason. Although she was wrong about Stannis, he led her to the hero. The Lord of Light is working through Melisandre, more so than his other servants, and Mel was not wrong the many times she has told us that. The story of Azor Ahai and Nissa Nissa is the story of the long night and how to end it. Do you know the tale of the forging of Lightbringer? I shall tell it to you. It was a time when darkness lay heavy on the world. To oppose it, the hero must have a hero's blade, oh, like none that had ever been. And so, for 30 days and 30 nights, Azor Ahai labored sleepless in the temple, forging a blade in the sacred fires. Heat and hammered and fold, heat and hammer and fold. Oh yes, until the sword was done. Yet when he plunged it into the water to temper the steel, it burst asunder. Being a hero, it was not for him to shrug and go in search of excellent grapes such as these, so again he began. The second time, it took him 50 days and 50 nights, and this sword seemed even finer than the first. Azor Ahai captured a lion to temper the blade by plunging it through the beast's red heart, but once more the steel shattered and split. Great was his woe and great was his sorrow then, for he knew what he must do. 100 days and 100 nights he labored on the third blade, and as it glowed white-hot in the sacred fires, he summoned his wife. Nissa Nissa, he said to her, for that was her name, bear your breast and know that I love you best in all of this world. She did this thing, why I cannot say, and Azor Ahai thrust the smoking sword through her living heart. It is said that her cry of anguish and ecstasy left a crack across the face of the moon, but her blood and her soul and her strength and her courage all went into the steel. Such is the tale of the forging of Lightbringer, the red sword of heroes. We are told this tale in Davos' first chapter. That seems rather significant. When Melisandre preaches the word of R'hllor, she speaks of Azor Ahai returning to defeat the long night to come. She shows Davos the power she bears when she births a shadow baby before his eyes. He knows her power is real, he has seen it, though he loathes her for her power over Stannis and Selyse, and for leading them to the Blackwater to the death of his 4 sons. He hates her for her blood magic she performs, and that Stannis condones this. Davos knows Stannis as a good and just man who lifted him up from a smuggler to a lord to a king's hand. He sees Mel's influence over Stannis, and after Shireen's murder for no bloody reason, he sees daggers. He will kill her if given the chance. Hate was a powerful thing to get him by while he dwindled on the rocks after the Blackwater, but Melisandre saw his intent in her flames, and they imprisoned Davos under Dragonstone. He was nursed back to health, and his fury subsided. Davos's feelings towards Melisandre are very confused, because he has seen her power and her magic, and that they're real, but she is so convoluted that she ends up completely misreading situations and misusing her abilities. The pain and fury Davos felt after Shireen's death, though, was enough to break the camel's back. Davos will kill Melisandre if he sees her again, especially in the north. In episode 2, the little girl with the scarred face bravely approaches Davos, serving stew to soldiers and small folk. She says her brothers are fighting and she wants to fight. Gilly overhears this and asks the little girl to defend her and her son, who will be down in the crypts during the fighting. Gilly says she'd feel much better knowing they had someone to fight for them. The little girl is briefly thoughtful, then agrees to defend the crypts with a smile on her face. Davos seems a bit wary, for how we know him, through the whole encounter. It may be because of the young girl's scarred face, reminding him of Shireen, but he doesn't seem to recover from being thrown off. He seems a bit shaken. Another bit to mention is the background music is Shireen's song, I know, oh, oh, oh. Another thing the lonely girl mentions is that both her brothers are fighting, and she wants to fight too. If we consider Melisandre is fighting for R'hllor, her brothers would also be fighting for R'hllor. And who rolls into Winterfell in the very next scene but Beric Dondarrion of the Brotherhood Without Banners, who worships the Lord of Light and was brought back by R'hllor 6 times. And later, Arya confirms for us that Sandor Clegane has also joined the Brotherhood, now worships the Red God, and also sports a scarred half-face. What we know about Baby Sam is that he is very important. If you have watched our Baby Sam video, we believe Craster and his wives and children are the descendants of Joramun, the king beyond the wall, during the Long Night. We believe Joramun sacrificed himself to save the Night's Watch from the thraldom of the Night's king and queen by blowing the horn of Joramun. Baby Sam is the one who got away. He was the son of Craster, whom were sacrificed to the Night King in the woods outside Craster's keep. Samwell Tarly saved Gilly and her baby son from the Suns before they could claim the boy, and Cold Hands defended him until they passed south of the wall. Baby Sam is a secret weapon. He is a powerful tool or key to trade, utilize, or sacrifice in the wars to come. The show has not forgotten this. They have made sure to mention Baby Sam in both episodes 1 and 2. We will find out what our little guy is worth to his brothers very soon. Melisandre knows of Baby Sam. They were at Castle Black at the same time. In fact, in the books, Jon trades Gilly's baby with Mance Rayder's baby when the Black Tarly family travel to Oldtown. He does this to protect Mance's baby from Melisandre because he has King's blood. But the true irony is that Baby Sam is the one with King's blood, King Joramun. Baby Sam has King's blood and is a son of Craster, brother to the Night King's army, and potentially to the Night King himself. The efforts to protect the baby with King's blood was just another prime example of you-know-nothing Jon Snow. The fact that this lonely little girl approached Gilly and Davos, of all people, with no one there to help or take care of her, really creates the question in my mind of her being under a glamour. The scarred face, like Shireen, is another very strong clue in this case. Recall in Season 6, Episode 10, when Davos confronts Melisandre about Shireen, he throws Shireen's little carved stag at her. It was a gift from Davos that Shireen cherished. Could this be her key to glamoring Shireen, the thing she held in her hand until she died? Davos gave Melisandre the tool to glamour the scarred princess she killed. Melisandre is the little girl, and her goal now is to guard Baby Sam in the crypts, a very magical location itself. If he commands you to kill children, your lord is evil. As much as I would hate to see this, what if her goal is to sacrifice Baby Sam for his king's blood or as part of a spell against the Night King? And if Davos saw Melisandre kill another child, could we see Davos enraged enough to, perhaps, plunge a sword into her breast, thus creating Lightbringer, the red sword of heroes? Melisandre is a great weapon of light in the War of Darkness, and we might just see this power unleashed in the battle for Winterfell. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Valar Margulis.